news. Joseph, it looks like there could well be yet another spate of industrial action coming up. Now, barristers have issued a warning shot to the new government in the long-running dispute over legal aid funding. There's a lot of frustration going on. Plus, the Criminal Bar Association revealed this week that Sir Keir Starmer's government has been sitting for 2 months on an independent report assessing the dire state of criminal legal aid. They're urging the government to publish it ahead of the Chancellor's upcoming budget. There are all sorts of things going on. I didn't realise legal aid is being wound back. A whole load of things that this current government hasn't dealt with.
Yes. Well, as always, good afternoon to you, Trisha, and good afternoon to everybody at home and on the move. Legal aid very much in the spotlight again. It's kind of like a safety valve complaint story that appears every few years and then we all forget about it, but nothing's fixed. The lawyers get paid peanuts. People don't come into the profession to do legal aid. And of course, nobody, you know, your average voter, if there is such a thing, doesn't think it will ever happen to me. I won't have the local authority try to take my kids away from me. No one's going to accuse me of a crime because I haven't done anything wrong. Unless you're one of those 1 in 3, 1 in 4 people in a Crown Court trial who gets found not guilty. Turns out you were innocent all along. But it's something about the way that we're kind of programmed. We don't think it's a vote winner. So governments can get away with this disgraceful attack on our rights because we should have a right to legal advice. And the system of legal aid funding, it just doesn't really work in this country. We've got a shortage of lawyers. They're not even, most of them nowadays, prepared to do legal aid. Firms like mine, we do what we can. Mary Monson Solicitors in Salford, if you're close to us there, we'll try and help you. But our other 8 offices around the country, we just can't do it unless, for example, we take a view that it's a really ethical requirement for us to try to do the case. For example, if it's an extraordinarily vulnerable client or a very serious offence like murder. And in many, many cases, we're doing these cases as a loss leader just because we didn't get in it for the money. And we're just trying to do our best in a system that doesn't work. And there are many, many lawyers around the country who are in the same category. Of course, go on.
You touched upon a point. The people who they say they're going to suffer the most or are already suffering the most are women, people who are suffering domestic violence, sexual assault, rapes, all of those things. It strikes me that by and large, and I'm just throwing it out there, the people who may suffer, who are suffering the most, are going to be women. You know, so again, as you say, vote-wise, we can forget about them. You know, but this is a really big thing. And then, you know, as well as that, there's the backlog to courts we've talked about. There are all these other things going on which just keep being swept under the carpet.
Absolutely. And I have to say the way in which the governments historically, and I just hope we've got better from this government, but bearing in mind the last legal aid reform set with franchising came in under New Labour kind of 25 years ago, and nothing's got better since, certainly. But one of the tropes that's peddled is this idea that legal aid lawyers get paid a lot of money, therefore the system doesn't work. And they might find one legal aid lawyer or the top 10 legal aid law firms in the country and say, this means that legal aid lawyers get paid loads. It's just not true. Lawyer represents someone in a police investigation, 2 or 3 trips sometimes to the police station. The first one might be at night, and an investigation length of sometimes months or even years where you have to keep the client updated and really just try and care for that person in a really unknown and stressful scenario. Trisha, how much do you think I'm going to ask you a question for a change. How much do you think one of those fat cat lawyers gets paid for that whole case?
Go on.
200 quid. 200
really?
Quid. There are people who spend that on an Uber delivery. These are once in a lifetime catastrophic events. And we're supposed to send qualified people out who know what they're doing, often at night, people who've been in university, people who've got professional qualifications, support staff, office insurance, all of those costs. And that's what we're expected to do. And guess what? That hasn't gone up materially. In fact, if you account for inflation, it's about a third of what it was 30 years ago. I mean, those were the numbers. That was the figure we were getting paid when I came into this job 19 years ago.